The night did not scream. It hummed with the low, electric tension of a trap finally closing. A single floodlight, harsh and white as a winter moon, sliced through the darkness high on Eagle's Ridge, turning the midnight forest into a stark, unforgiving stage. The beam pinned a woman against the weathered cedar logs of my front porch, like a specimen under glass. She wore a tailored navy pantsuit, now streaked with mountain dirt, trembling in the thin, cold air. Evelyn Hargrove shielded her eyes with one hand while the other groped blindly behind her for a doorknob that was no longer an option. She faced no man. She faced a machine. The biometric scanner on the doorframe pulsed a cold red ring, bathing her face in an eerie glow. Then came the voice, synthetic, calm, and without a trace of pity, booming from speakers hidden in the eaves, echoing off the granite walls of the valley. Alert. Biometric match confirmed. Identity, Evelyn Hargrove. Classification, Level 5 Intruder. Law enforcement dispatched. Countermeasures engaged. Evelyn let out a sharp, desperate cry, drowned instantly by the rising wail of sirens climbing the winding road below. She stumbled backward in her low heels, falling hard onto the deck as red and blue lights crested the ridge. The sheriff's cruisers skidded to a stop in a spray of gravel. Sheriff Harlan Brooks stepped out first, hand on his holster, face shifting from confusion to wary readiness. "Get on the ground," he ordered, voice cutting through the looping automated warning. Evelyn scrambled to her feet, pointing a shaking finger at my dark windows. "He's deranged. He attacked me. Arrest him. He's got this place rigged like some military compound." I waited a moment longer, letting her words hang in the freezing air. Then I opened the door. No gun, no armor, just a ceramic mug of black coffee, steam curling into the night. I leaned against the frame, looked past the frantic woman, and met the sheriff's eyes. "She is not the victim here, Sheriff," I said evenly. "She is the intruder, and she just triggered her own arrest." 72 hours earlier, the mountain had been still, the kind of quiet you pay a premium for, or in my case, the kind you seek out deliberately. I had not come to Eagle's Ridge for the breathtaking views of jagged peaks piercing the Colorado sky, though they were spectacular. I came for solitude. My gray pickup, coated in dust from 3 states, ticked as it cooled in the high altitude. I stepped out, boots crunching on gravel untouched by tires for years. First thing I did was scan the perimeter, laser rangefinder in one hand, RF scanner in the other. Most folks check the plumbing when they buy a cabin. I checked sight lines and signals. The listing had been unusual, a sealed bid auction through the U.S. Marshals Service, asset from a forfeiture case, no interior photos, just coordinates and an as-is warning. That sort of thing scares off casual buyers. For me, it was the reason I bid. The cabin itself was solid, heavy timber and stone built to survive brutal winters. But the front door told a different story. The lock was a high-security cylinder, the kind used on evidence lockers, but it had been drilled out and left dangling. The marshals had not been gentle. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust. Furniture gone, floors bare except for one clean rectangle in the center of the living room, about 4 feet by 3. Something heavy had sat there until very recently. Scuff marks showed it had been dragged away in haste. Someone else had been interested in this property. I had suspected as much when I placed my bid. Now I knew. I flipped the breaker. Nothing. Grid was dead, as expected. Outside, I found the diesel generator intact. As I worked on it, I heard the whine of an electric motor, smooth, expensive. A pristine white SUV eased up the rutted drive. Out stepped Evelyn Hargrove in beige heels and a navy suit that looked freshly pressed despite the dirt road. Blonde hair perfect, face set in practiced authority. She did not admire the view. She studied my truck, the cabin, then me, with clear disapproval. She tapped on a tablet, then approached the porch steps. "You are the new occupant," she stated, not asked. "I'm the owner," I corrected, wiping grease from my hands. "You're late. New residents must report to the board within 4 hours of arrival for orientation. You've been here over 6. I was not aware of any timetable. Ignorance of the covenants is no excuse. She extended a gloved hand. "Master key. Now." I paused. "Come again." "The master key. Per Covenant 4.2, All properties in Pinecrest Estates must provide a duplicate for emergency access and inspections. Her hand stayed out. It is mandatory. We must verify compliance, especially given this parcel's history. I leaned against the post. I've read the deed. This is parcel 712, independent since the 1982 survey. It shares an easement, but it is not inside your association boundaries. I do not answer to your board, and I do not give keys to strangers. Her eyes narrowed. Old maps do not override current charters. We incorporated all adjacent easements 5 years ago. Show me the signed transfer from the prior owner. The prior owner was unavailable. The county approved it. Unavailable how? She ignored the question. Mr. Grant, I supplied. It was a name she would get. Mr. Grant, this is not negotiable. We prioritize safety, privacy, and order. A single man in an isolated cabin with no oversight. That poses a risk. Privacy is something I decide to grant, not something you take. Please leave my porch. She wrote down my license plate, voice turning icy. You have 24 hours to comply. After that, life up here can become very difficult. She drove off. I watched until her taillights vanished, then retrieved a heavy Pelican case from my truck. Inside was the Guardian security system, military-grade biometric lock, cameras, sensors. I had not brought it to keep honest people out. I brought it to record whoever tried to get in. Over the next hours, I fortified the door, embedded steel plates, mounted the scanner. While drilling, my bit struck metal inside the frame, an old wired microphone, painted over. Someone had listened here long ago. I left it for now. I registered my own face and print, then visited the Pinecrest Estates HOA website. There was Evelyn's official photo, smiling, but the smile never reached her eyes. I downloaded it, uploaded it to the Guardian database, and tagged her, Level 5 threat, Intruder. Protocol, full countermeasures. The next morning, the pressure campaign began. No water pressure. At the community valve by the road, a new padlock and a tag. Service suspended, noncompliance. Orange violation notices plastered my windows. Unauthorized modifications, aesthetic disharmony, my gray truck. Fines totaling $1,500. She worked fast. Cut resources, pile on fines, make the place unlivable until the owner begs or leaves. But she miscalculated. I did not need her water. Behind the cabin, I uncovered an old cistern, 10,000 gallons fed by a spring, predating the association. By noon, I had water again, independent. I scanned the notices for my files, then received an email threatening lien proceedings unless I removed the non-compliant lock, and delivered a physical key by 5 p.m. I replied with 2 words, try it. That night, I wired floodlights and a powerful speaker to the system. I waited in the dark, monitors glowing. At 2:17 a.m., motion sensors tripped. Thermal imaging showed 2 figures skirting the road. One carried tools. The smaller one moved with sharp, impatient gestures. Evelyn, in boots and a dark coat. Through the directional microphone, I heard her hiss. Just drill it. I need inside before he starts ripping up floors. If he finds. She stopped herself. The locksmith hesitated. This housing looks tamper-proof. I will pay for a new door. Fake a gas leak emergency. I have backdated forms. He positioned the drill. Evelyn leaned in close, faced directly in the scanner lens. Match confirmed. I pressed execute. Floodlights blazed like daylight. The locksmith dropped his drill and fled. Evelyn screamed, blinded. The speaker boomed. Intruder detected. Evelyn Hargrove. Evidence recording. Law enforcement notified. She fumbled for her phone, dialed 911, voice shaking. I'm at the Grant property. He's attacking me with lights and some weapon. Send help. She chose to double down, to frame me for assault to cover her break-in. I made coffee and waited. Sheriff Brooks arrived in 8 minutes. Evelyn pointed wildly, claiming she was checking a reported gas leak, and I ambushed her. I opened the door. Sheriff, care to watch the footage of the attempted burglary? Brooks watched the tablet twice, Evelyn ordering the lock drilled, worrying about what was under the floorboards. Then I showed network logs, a hidden router in the cabin transmitting data nightly for years, even when empty, routed through the HOA president's encrypted link. Brooks ordered the floor opened. Beneath the clean rectangle lay a lead-lined compartment containing 4 waterproof cases, ledgers, statements, hard drives documenting millions in HOA funds diverted to offshore accounts. Kickbacks from contractors for phantom repairs, inflated assessments, fines that never reached the community treasury. The prior owner had been the association treasurer, dead in a hiking accident 2 years earlier. Evelyn had stored the real books here, believing the seized property would stay vacant forever. She lunged for the evidence. Brooks cuffed her on the spot. As he led her away, she hissed, "Who are you, really?" I showed my gold federal badge. Senior Forensic Auditor, State Anti-Corruption Task Force. We traced a $2 million hole in county funds to this valley. You handed me everything I needed. The aftermath unfolded quickly. Forensic teams descended. The embezzlement ring unraveled. Fake invoices, shell companies, years of theft. Neighbors, long terrorized by arbitrary fines and threats, gathered in my driveway. One man had paid thousands for a fence 6 inches too tall. A widow had nearly lost her home over paint color. I told them the seized funds would be repatriated, the association dissolved, essential services placed under state receivership. Before leaving for my next case, I dismantled the high-tech lock, reinstalled a simple deadbolt, and handed the key to the neighbors. "This cabin has solid bones," I said. "Use it as a real community space, one where you actually get to vote." I drove down the mountain as the sun set, rearview mirror showing residents stepping onto the porch, not as trespassers, but as owners reclaiming what was theirs. Evelyn Hargrove sits in federal custody awaiting trial. Justice, finally, found its way to Eagles Ridge. What do you think? Did she get exactly what she deserved? Or does this story raise questions about power, privacy, and how far is too far when standing up to bullies and injustice in everyday life? I would love to hear your thoughts and personal experiences in the comments below. Take a stand. Share your view. Let's discuss it openly.